Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about something that almost seems like a controversial topic, but more and more studies have come out confirming this. And again, a lot of people are in denial of it because so much stuff has been done trying to promote glute training and all these things that people just seem to be oblivious to what the research actually shows on muscle growth. And I don't want people to think that I don't like glute bridges or hip thrusts or any of these other movements, because I program a lot of them for my clients. I program some of these things for my power lifters. So we want to be very, very clear. I am not against these movements. But when you look at the sum total evidence, it's pretty evident that you can build pretty significant glutes off of just squat variations and deadlifts, right? It doesn't have to be deadlift, it can be hip hinges in general, right? Any hip hinge. Of course, in this video, I'll be doing a normal conventional deadlift. But I also use things like glute ham raises, reverse hypers all the time. Those are staples in my own training. All right, but here's the thing. When you start digging into the most current research, what are we finding? Well, you set aside all this EMG stuff, because what we found with EMG, it can be useful data to get you in the right direction, but what we ultimately find, things that put you into really serious contracted positions, shortened positions of the muscle, right, where you often really feel the muscle, it elicits a larger EMG response. Well, think about a glute bridge. Okay, it makes sense. Why do they score so high on EMGs? Well, because of that. But hypertrophy studies find that lengthened positions tend to produce the best muscle growth. Okay, notice I said 10. It's not all the time. It's only 95% of the time, 90%. They tend to, right? They tend to cause it. But that's the case. We start looking at studies on glute hypertrophy. Squats tend to do really, really good. They tend to do really well. And every time something like a glute bridge or a hip thrust has been compared to a normal back squat, and glute hypertrophy is measured, the squat wins. Now, when I say that, am I saying that you can't do some of these other movements as supplemental work? No, I'm not saying that. Because what is it I have always said? The best exercise for any given muscle is to pick two really good exercises for that muscle and train them hard. Okay? Bridges and hip thrusts don't have any axial loading. They're a little easier on recovery than a back squat. Of course, here I'm doing belt squats, which doesn't have axial loading either. Incidentally, great for glutes. Great for glutes. So, that's the thing. Squats tend to win there. All right, what else do we know? The only time ratios have been looked at in a whole study that took normal back squatting, and I mean they did Olympic style squats, not power lifter squats, not stuff you see me and some of my people doing, not power squats, because obviously people say, well, of course the adductors and glutes get worked harder. Olympic style squats, high bar, shoulder width, full range of motion, all the way down, a full squat, ass to grass. Okay, there was a study that looked at all of that really closely in a bunch of fairly novice lifters. They measured the amount of muscle growth. Their quads all grew, but their glutes and their adductors grew more than the quads did. Again, not a wide stance power squat, and I get it. If we were doing a box squat with the toes all the way to the edges of the rack, okay, I mean, we understand. Yeah, it makes sense. But this was high bar full squats. And as far as squats go, that's the one that everyone says, oh, that's the king of quad hypertrophy. Okay. Glutes and the adductors grew more. Now, what happens when we start going to other types of squats? We don't know, but we could infer, because when we hit parallel on those, it's a shallower knee angle. We can infer there's less length in position on the quad. So we could deduce based upon the sum total scientific evidence, we could make a prediction, a hypothesis. They're probably going to cause a little less, just a little less quad growth, probably. Notice I didn't say it certainly. It's a real good chance though, because again, the length in position. And we know half squats produce less quad hypertrophy. That's not a controversial statement. That's been studied. That's been studied. We already know that's the case. There's plenty of evidence to support that statement. So that would be the case. We would expect more glute and more adductor. But we saw it on full squats. So could we then surmise that realistically doing serious squatting is probably, and we know it's better for the adductors based on that, probably better for your glutes? It's way up there. Now, am I saying when I make that statement that if you wanted to maximize glute growth that the squatting is the only thing you should do? Of course not. That would be silly. Not implying that. In fact, I don't agree with that. You should definitely do some sort of hip hinge, some deadlifting, some reverse hyperextensions, good morning, something. It would be a good idea. Or you could do some hip thrusts. Be a great idea. But the squats are going to be very high on the list. You get good at squatting. And when I say squat, I mean get strong at it. It doesn't have to be your 1 max. It could be your 10 rep max. Get that real strong. You're gonna build glutes. Okay. But we need to lose this idea that squats are the king of quad builders and that it's all quad and no glute. No, they're great. They're one of the best glute exercises. Any form of squat. And for many people, depending upon your structure, a back squat isn't a great quad exercise. For some people with certain leverages, they're amazing for quads. For other people, not so much, femur length being a big factor. So it's just something to think about here. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.